Hello, everyone, and welcome to this edition of the ZapSec Modernization Series. My name is Carl Schneider, Vice President at ZapSec, and I'm joined by Ray Garg, who is our Identity and Access Management Architect. Ray, most enterprises know they have identity technical debt, right? It's accumulated over decades of acquisitions, legacy tooling, and ad hoc operating decisions. And the scale makes it feel impossible to address. So leaders tend to delay the work. They wait for a transformation budget or a compliance event to force the issue. And while they wait, that debt compounds.
Yeah, it's a great point. And the debt here is not abstract. We're dealing with orphaned accounts that nobody owns but still carry production permissions. Service accounts are embedded in automation with no traceable owner. There's legacy protocol dependencies that should have been retired years ago. And, we have redundant directory forests from acquisitions that were never consolidated. This is leading to entitlement structures so layered that nobody actually fully trusts what access a given identity actually has.
Yeah, I can imagine that complexity. And nobody wants to fund a 3-year cleanup program when there's no visible progress for the first 12 months.
Yeah, and that's why the 90-day model here works. So instead of an open-ended multi-year effort, you're targeting one bounded debt category per wave. It's kind of like clearing a large warehouse aisle by aisle. You don't shut down the operation to empty the building. You pick the aisle with the highest risk, you clear that one, you measure the result, and then you move on to the next one.
Oh, that sounds awesome. Like, walk me through how that works, like the waves.
So wave one might target orphan accounts, for example. We'd identify them, validate that there's no active owners, and then remove them. The measurable outcome would be reduced standing access, fewer audit findings, lower license costs for unused seats, while wave two could address ungoverned service accounts, where we would map them to owners, assign lifecycle governance, and rotate credentials. The outcome here is reduced credential exposure and improved auditability. Each wave here would take 90 days and address a specific category and produce a result that the CIO can report.
Oh, that's awesome. And that's what makes it fundable, right? You show measurable progress after the first quarter. So the PMO sees reduced risk, finance sees reduced cost, and security sees improved posture. The next wave gets approved just based on the evidence, not a forecast.
Yeah, and it also keeps the program sustainable. Multi-year transformations, they burn out teams and they lose executive attention,
Yeah.
while quarterly waves are able to keep the scope contained, they're able to keep the outcomes visible and the momentum steady. So each wave here is a delivery milestone, not a phase in a plan that nobody can see the end of.
Yeah, I like that because it's almost like routine feedback for the work that's going on. So how does Zapsec differentiate here? Like what's our secret sauce? The wave model makes sense, but classifying the debt and sequencing the remediation seems to be where organizations tend to get stuck.
That's a great point. So there's three things here. The first thing is debt classification. So we map every category in the environment, like orphaned accounts, service accounts sprawl, legacy protocol dependencies, you know, things like redundant directories, ungoverned entitlements. We are mapping every one of these things and prioritizing them by risk, cost, and remediation complexity. Therefore, the CIO is able to get a clear picture of what to actually target first. The second thing is the actual structured delivery. So we're coming with pre-built 90-day remediation blueprints, which define scope, actions, and success criteria and measurement for each wave. They're implementation ready, and so teams are able to know what they're delivering and how the progress is actually measured before the wave starts. And
Hmm.
finally, yeah, and finally we have the automation here, which is basically the continuous tracking of debt reduction and detection of new debt as it appears. So, if orphaned accounts are recreated or ungoverned service accounts are provisioned after remediation, the automation would catch that and that would prevent the debt from quietly accumulating again.
Yeah, fantastic. So debt classified, implementation ready, continuously tracked. Definitely these are good differentiators.
Yep, that's how the organizations move from knowing the debt exists to actually measurably reducing it quarter by quarter.
Yeah, identity technical debt becomes manageable when it's reduced in sequence 90-day increments with visible business and security outcomes. So if your organization is waiting for one large program to solve this, the debt is actually growing while you wait.
That was a great way to break it down. The takeaway here is to classify the debt, sequence the waves, and then show the results.
Yeah, I like it. So they're bite-sized chunks, definitely more achievable. All right, everyone. Thanks for watching. And don't forget, StapSec helps companies maximize their ROI and minimize threats. We do cybersecurity every day. If any of this is familiar to you, we'd welcome a conversation on how to bring this sort of transformation to your organization. Visit zapsec.com or reach out to Ray or myself directly. Our email addresses are visible at the beginning of the video.